Okay, come on, bro, just listen to me. You know that Bleach's villains are the best.
Bro, you don't know what you're talking about, okay?
You are still merely a man.
Hey, are you there?
However, I have matured to become much more than a man. Yes, I've grown from a man to a god.
Hey there! So, I really do believe that Naruto's villains are the best villains in all of anime. Maybe it's because they have things that I appreciate in villains, and we'll discuss that later. Maybe that's just my opinion, but I really do believe that. Today I want to talk about what makes them special in general, and also talk about them individually because they're also quite different from each other, which is pretty interesting. Let's go! Okay, so first I want to touch a bit on why do I love those villains. And the reason is simple. All of the best villains in Naruto are broken heroes. I'm not a fan of a villain just being angry with everybody, just wanting to conquer the world, just wanting to rule the world, just being evil for the sake of evil. It doesn't make that much sense to me, and some people love that. I even heard a thought recently that villains that are like have a compelling backstory, that are actually good deep inside, are kind of boring. I don't know why, I don't share that opinion whatsoever. For me, a villain has to be understandable, he has to feel human, and he has to feel like a hero of his own story. And practically all of the main villains in Naruto, besides basically Orochimaru, do that. And yeah, Orochimaru is a special case, he's a good villain for just pure evil, but I'm not gonna talk about him. The thing with Orochimaru is that he's different than all the other villains. He's just evil, he's just a menace. He's a good menace, but he's still just that and nothing more. So now that we figured out what I meant by Naruto villains being the best, let's probably discuss them one by one. Okay, so the first villain I want to talk about is probably not the best representation of a perfect Naruto villain in my opinion, and that's gonna piss some people off, definitely, because I'm talking about Madara Uchiha. For me, I couldn't put him in the same tier as Orochimaru because he's not just ore farmer, but still, for the most part, he's an ore farmer, and that's it. He has a backstory, he has his reasons, he has his motivation, but it's still not on the level of the other characters. He has more aura. When he first appeared, like, we all remember how he felt. It was incredible. But as a character, I don't feel like he's the best. I don't feel like he's the best, and I don't feel like he has this essence of being human enough for me to care for him. He's more like a crazy force of nature, and he works well as this crazy force, but it's just, I want more. I want more out of the villain, that's kinda it. It was more of an honorable mention because I couldn't exclude Madara, he's still way too good to exclude him, but yeah, let's move on. Okay, and now Pain. Best arc, best powers, best motivation, best backstory, the most terrifying in my opinion. Oh, and he has the best OST. He's just overall the best. There is no comparison. Like, he was actually the broken hero. If you remember, he didn't want to do any of that Eye of the Moon stuff. He wanted to give kind of nukes to each of the villages so there was no war anymore. He wanted peace. And yes, of course, the way he went about it was wrong. It's like the point of being a villain, right? But his motivation was the best out of all of them. And how terrifying he was? It was insane. It was like the first villain with close to godlike powers. He felt so terrifying. He actually felt like a god. He thought that he was a god, and he was kind of right, honestly. At that point, there was no one who could even compare to him. And how he pushed Naruto to transform by seemingly killing Hinata? I don't know, maybe it's just me loving the arc so much, but it still feels like Pain was a major part of that arc, and he was like probably the main reason. When he destroyed the Lift Village, it felt like endgame stuff. It wasn't, but it felt like it. It was astonishing. And I'm here to remind you that this episode, this right here, it was episode 162. There were more than 300 episodes left. I was like, yo, what are they gonna tell after this? For me, everything after that arc was not that impressive, not as impressive as it was with Pain. Okay, and now Obito. Well, let's talk about Obito, because for me, Obito is quite a misunderstood character. And for me, he's also the second best villain after Pain, of course. A lot of people tend to think that he started a 4th grade ninja war just because of his childhood crush that died, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't know, I don't share that opinion at all. In my opinion, it was more of a chain of events. He, when he was like, what, 11, 12, fought in previous ninja war as a child. It's probably not the best thing for your mental health, if you know what I mean. Then he got crushed by a boulder, he kinda died, then Madara retrieved him, then he tried to brainwash him while he was still young, he was still susceptible to all that stuff. It didn't work, but it planted the seed, that little seed that Madara wanted to grow later, that all this world is kinda trash and you gotta cast Infinite Tsukiyomi. So after that, when he sees Rin die, it kinda makes sense. It suddenly makes sense. And the thing is, remember I said that he was 13 when he witnessed that? Probably, he understood that he was kinda maybe wrong later on when he was older, when he was smarter, more experienced, whatever. He understood that Madara maybe a bit manipulated them, I don't know. But he was too far gone. He killed so many people, he made so many atrocious things happen. There was no coming back. And also about that Rin scene, because everyone is treating it like some trivial event, but I just want to remind you that he hasn't seen them for a while, and it's the first thing he sees. The first thing he sees is that his best friend stabbing the girl that he loves through the heart with Chidori. And the guy was 13 years old. Believe me, I would lose it too. Also, Obito is probably the best parallel with Naruto, because it's blatantly obvious that they were so similar when they were young, because Obito had like the same kind of hairstyle. Their team reminded me of Team 7 because there was a girl that Obito liked, there was also Kakashi, there was also as cool as Sasuke or something like that. Same hairstyle, same goal. He wanted to become Hokage, but the difference was it turned out completely different for him, sadly. So yeah, he's really a great example of being the villain that is a shadow to the main hero, because they're so similar yet so different. Okay, so there is one more character that I want to talk about. He's pretty interesting, probably the most interesting out of the bunch, if I'm being honest. You might already know who I'm talking about, so without further ado, let's start talking about him. Okay, so this last character that I wanted to talk about is none other than Sasuke Uchiha. Honestly, I kinda hated the guy for most of the show, but I still have to admit that the journey that he's been on is probably the most complex journey out of all the characters in Naruto. He went from being kind of a good guy, but with a lot of hate and malice in his heart, to turning kinda bad, because he still, when he was with Orochimaru, he still didn't want to kill people. He still was, as Orochimaru said, soft, but then he turned into just crazy psychopath that kills people without any second thought. And in the end of the story, he actually manages to come back from that, which I don't really buy all the way, to be honest. Like, I would prefer for it to be more gradual, I think, but it was still pretty good, and the entirety of that journey was simply amazing. And I know that technically he's not a villain, he's a deuteragonist, right? But he still was a villain for a good chunk of the story, and he was a pretty good one, if I'm being honest. And if I had to rank him as a villain, he would probably be third after Obito. Okay, so I think that's it, and you might still think that it's a pretty hot take, but I stand on it no matter what. If you want to see more anime content, subscribe, I'll be doing more of that soon, and see ya!